Do you like running? Do you like picking stuff up off the floor? And do you like killing about 4 different types of zombies? If so, New World might just be the game for you. Welcome to the world of Eternum. New World is an upcoming MMORPG from Amazon Game Studios, due to launch August 31st, 2021. It is pay to play, has no sub fee, and features an in-game cash shop. The game has undergone considerable changes from alpha to beta, from being entirely PvP focused to now containing instance PvE and more objective-based opt-in PvP instead. It features a classless combat system where your abilities are governed by your weapon choice, which are then further upgradable for a number of stats and different talent points. New World features an extensive gathering and crafting system, allowing players to have a good degree of tangible control over their character's progression and a real avenue of gameplay which supports people who love this kind of thing. This is the final look just as the beta is being closed. The game is out in less than a month, so what you're seeing here is, I imagine, very close to what you're going to get. It feels like more of a free advertisement beta, he says, making a video about the game, rather than an actual final test, but hopefully a few things are tuned before launch. So off I set and created my character. I found out you had a choice of being either man or woman, and that's it. No gnomes, so obviously game is instantly 0 out of 10. After making a Chad character with a hilarious name, I set off on my journey, and mere moments after getting control of my character was given a QuickTime-esque introduction to the combat system, and this really does lay out the basics for you. It was done in a nice way. I enjoyed this. I carried on my way to a nearby camp and got the basics of the gathering and crafting system, of which, as mentioned previously, there is an enormous amount of depth to. Tried out a bit more combat and then eventually headed on to town. It was here where the main quest started to pick up, and I was introduced to what are called the side quests. And you did get the gist of the side questing pretty quickly after having given it a go initially. It's a lot of go to a place, collect X or kill X, and then come back, and then you are given the chance to go out and do so again. There wasn't a whole lot of variance on this system either, and I could see people burning themselves out after trying to push too hard to level all the way to the end game and then see what's there, rather than enjoying the leveling for what it is. Anyways, I continued on my way, got a few more levels, and then was given the option to join one of the 3 factions which exist within the game. Now, as soon as I hear the word faction, I get a little bit scared, because I've played a game for a while which has factions in, and they sort of inevitably go down one route, which is dominance for one and not much for the other. However, this game features 3 factions, and we can talk about that more a little bit later. But for the time being, I picked the purples. No particular reason. I guess I just like the color. So I flagged up for some PvP and set off out into the open world, and it appeared to me as though a lot of people were confused as to whether or not enemies actually had PvP enabled. And I didn't run into much of it whatsoever, though this was nearing the closure of the beta, so perhaps that is partially the reason for it. And you can only flag within sanctuaries as well, not just everywhere. I decided to go on a bit of exploration because I saw that a fort was in conflict. However, I didn't get too far as enemies on the way there were just a bit too high level for me. So on my way back, amidst doing some sick parkour, I decided to jump in the water and go for a swim. Amazon? What is this? Now, I don't think when anyone tries a game initially, they think, oh boy, I hope they've got swimming in this one. And I wasn't expecting it to be like earlier GTA games where you just instantaneously die the moment you touch water. And you do have to suspend belief to a certain degree with these games. We do have magic and undead and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I wasn't expecting to be wading along the seafloor like a fucking member of the Black Pearl. What on earth is this, Amazon? Can you get some of that money that's hopefully floated down from Jeff's cockship and see if you can get this sorted out before launch? This is a game where within the first 2 minutes of the opening cutscene, you are shown to be sailing to this mysterious island. There is a faction within the game, the Marauders, who self-describe themselves as pirates but on land. Why don't you have swimming? It just seems like a bizarre thing not to have working at this point in time. Oh well, it's not the biggest deal, I suppose, but I just found it weird that this wasn't currently working. But then on, it was largely the same in terms of what I was doing. The main story quest had me going to different areas of the world, often being several kilometers away in the in-game map, at least, from the last point. You carry on the side quests, you collect things, you make your own food, potions, even weapons and armor. There are trading posts at each different settlement, which are specific to that settlement, as well as a weight system where you need to store things in storage points, which are again specific to each settlement. There is a degree of fast traveling in the game, like Hearthstones and World of Warcraft, where you have to set them at the innkeeper, and they are available once per hour. There is also fast traveling between certain points within the game. However, you need to be at one of them or a settlement, and they also cost you an in-game resource as well. I can say the standard gameplay loop for the time being is pretty simple, though I don't hate it. I think there'll be a lot of people who are going to burn themselves out trying to push too hard too fast. So some thoughts after playing New World for a short period of time. The world of Eternum is easy to get lost in a good way. You can be on your way to a location with one thing in mind and get sidetracked on your way there by so many other things happening at the same time, but it happens in a way where you want to keep going and finish off what you started, but that thing you started never quite ends. You could be heading over to a main story quest and then get sidetracked and you see a chest, you see a cave, you're wondering what's in there. Then you're getting near another settlement, you want to go into the settlement, you pick the quests up there, then you set yourself to the inn there, and then you go check the trading post, you do some crafting, and you sort of forget what you were going to do initially, but you're also doing stuff which are always advancing your character. It's really simple, but I think it's well done. It's kind of like playing an Iron Man on old school RuneScape, where you want an item upgrade or to target one specific item, but to do that you have to have done this quest first, you have to have leveled up these things, you need these specific items, and during that journey to get to what you want to do, you involve yourself in a lot of other things, and you might just change your focus on what you want to do in the first place. The sound design of just hitting rocks, the combat swings, the echoes in cavernous areas are all very well done. The one thing I'm not the biggest fan of is when your character's getting hit, there's some strange sounds there, and the soundtrack didn't overly leave an impression on me either. But overall, I'd say it's good, and the world looks good. Not that I could effectively show that too well, but I will be able to after launch. And both of those things are a good thing, because you're going to be spending a lot of time on foot. This game has no mounts and, as mentioned earlier, a limited fast travel system. This does a lot for early game interactions and PvP. Whether the appealing of hoofing it for 10 minutes across land has the same charm to it after 100 or 200 hours of gameplay though, I'm not too sure. The game has factions, and if one faction is significantly overpopulated, the game prevents further members from joining it. And if you do choose to swap faction, it puts a pretty hefty 120-day cooldown on doing that again. There is no way to change faction through the in-game store. And being all too familiar with imbalanced factions in a game, I'm glad this is being considered from the outset. Also, there is cross-faction PvE and a flagging system. Speaking of PvP, there is a level scaling system whereby lower levels don't get instantaneously crushed by a higher level. However, a very skilled player can come out on top. We're talking some real outplays here, the larger the level disparity grows. Moreover, with PvP being opt-in combined with a faction-based system, hopefully enough is done to maintain some balance, and Amazon are probably going to have to be quite heavy-handed on this, because I don't know what to tell you other than the underdog I want constant world PvP doing 1vx's is quite the niche playstyle, though perhaps having 3 factions and the 2 smaller guys butting up against the one big mean guy at the top might just be enough. The enemy diversity in the game, or at least during the early game, isn't diverse at all. It really does feel like you're fighting a couple different types and there's not a lot of variation. The combat doesn't feel all quite there yet. It's a simple system with 2 main weapons, so it really has to be bang on, especially in a genre like an MMO, where a large majority of the content revolves around this area of the game. Small elevations can lead you to being unable to connect with an enemy or vice versa, and each attack is a commitment in terms of animation. It leaves me kind of feeling how Dark Souls is, where instead of being aggressive and agile a la Bloodborne, you learn the pattern and then punish what you know is punishable. This seems to be the intention behind the combat, which if it is, that's fine, but it's just something to be aware of. The game's popularity on Twitch is to be taken with a bit of a grain of salt. Of course, Twitch is Amazon and so is New World. And streamers are, in my opinion, the most important modern form of game advertisement. I'm not saying Jeff is behind every single streamer with a gun to their head telling them to say nice things about the game. It's just Amazon have the best access to the most influential platform going for this kind of thing, and they are taking advantage of that. The game also does feature player housing, though I didn't really get time to look into that properly. It's something that I'd like to do after launch when I have more time. Though, knowing myself and how I am, this is my house in old school RuneScape, for example, I'm somebody that will take function over fashion when it comes to these things. And also the cash shop to me is still dubious. There was a lot of drama a few months back calling into question what kind of things will be found on there, and Amazon were testing paying for convenience such as experience boosts or profession leveling boosts. Now at the moment, namely, and I quote, all store items on launch, circle that part, will be purely cosmetic in nature. I can see some form of pay for convenience existing by 2022, put it like that. I think the launch, despite all this, is going to be one to remember, assuming Amazon can accommodate the players, of which I believe there will be a lot. The server caps are 1K, by the way. Then again, it's Amazon. You would hope they would find some of that rocket money left over to make the game functional on the first few days. Overall, the game's come a very long way since the change in direction, though I get the feeling though it's a bit lacking in either direction to substantially pull people away from either PvE or PvP centric games entirely. However, if you are the human embodiment of a pigeon and love picking up, interacting, or just rummaging with everything on the floor every 5 meters, New World has a lot to offer for you. If you want a game where you can switch yourself off and the game on, just grind in the open world, throw stuff in storage, make stuff in town, and then put them on the trading post, this feels like New World's niche really, and where it truly shines, at least at the moment. I can certainly see the potential for Amazon to have something great on their hands here. It just feels a little bit further away than the launch date is at the moment. And though the early game and crafting systems appear quite robust, it does appear to be somewhat lacking on the typically ever so important endgame. I can say so far, at least for Amazon, they have been willing to commit to feedback and implement changes. Hopefully that carries on after launch once they have that buy to play money. All these impressions, of course, were just from the beta during that period. A lot remains to be seen. I want to do a proper full review where I can look at different areas of the game too following launch as well. I know I'll be playing at least, and by then I'll be able to show you how the game looks in slightly better graphics as well. There we go. First review on the channel done. I guess I'm going to try a different style on another rather popular game very soon. We'll see how that goes. If you like the video and this kind of thing, drop it a like and let me know your thoughts on New World and whether you're looking forward to it. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one very soon.